Καλησπέρα σε όλους. Σήμερα σας έχω ένα πάρα πολύ ιδιαίτερο βίντεο. Ακούστε με πολύ προσεκτικά. Στο σημερινό βίντεο θα δείτε τη συνέντευξη που έκανα με τον CEO της Brick Trade, τον Giaouzos, η οποία Brick Trade, ακούστε τώρα, λανσάρει το token της μέσα από την πλατφόρμα Launchpool Labs, η οποία Launchpool Labs, μαντέψτε τι είναι. Είναι ο πρώτος official partner του wolfpack.gr και έχουμε απίστευτο διαγωνισμό. Δίνουμε μαζί με τη Launchpool Labs και με το Brick Trade προφανώς σε 15 από εσάς τη δυνατότητα να μπείτε στο pre-listing, δηλαδή στο seed round της Brick Trade, δηλαδή να μπείτε στο coin πριν καν γίνει διαθέσιμο δημόσια. Και επίσης ένα ακόμα πράγμα που με κάνει ίσως και παραπάνω χαρούμενο είναι ότι το Brick Trade δίνει σε εμάς $3.000 στα δικά τους coins να τα μοιράσουμε στην κοινότητά μας wolfpack.gr. Πραγματικά η χαρά μου είναι απίστευτη, είναι μόνο η πρώτη φορά που θα γίνει αυτό το πράγμα. Πολλούς μήνες θα μπορούμε να έχουμε και 2 και 3 και 4 φορές κάτι τέτοιο, άρα 3 χιλιάρικα κάθε φορά το community μας θα παίρνει πάρα πολλά δωρεάν coins από καινούργια project και χαίρομαι πάρα πολύ γι' αυτό. Βεβαίως το partnership με τη Launchpool Labs και το Wolfpack δεν είναι μόνο εκεί πέρα, δεν θα σταματήσει μόνο εδώ, θα το δείτε στο μέλλον το τι θα γίνει. Αυτή τη στιγμή που μιλάμε έχουν ήδη ποσταριστεί αυτοί οι διαγωνισμοί στο wolfpack.gr. Όσοι είστε μέλη πηγαίνετε τώρα να δείτε τα post και όσοι δεν είστε να πάτε τώρα στο wolfpack.gr ή αν θέλετε να μπείτε στο κρύπτο χαρτοφυλάκιό μου και να πάρετε ως πακέτο και πρόσβαση στο Wolfpack, να πάτε στο wolfpack.gr/cryptogroup. Εννοείται θα σας αφήσω και τα links από κάτω. Πριν μπούμε κατευθείαν στη συνέντευξη, 2 πραγματάκια πολύ γρήγορα θέλω να πω για το Wolfpack για να ξέρετε και εσείς οι οποίοι δεν με ακολουθάτε στο Instagram, να με ακολουθήσετε by the way. Νούμερο 1. Φτάνουμε επιτέλους τα 1000 μέλη στο Wolfpack και στα 1000 μέλη τι γίνεται? Κλειδώνει η κοινότητα, δεν θα μπορείς να μπεις μετά. Και για ποιο λόγο το κάνουμε αυτό? Διότι λανσάρουμε το Wolf Token, το δικό μας το coin του Wolfpack, και επειδή θέλουμε να το διανέμουμε κιόλας συν της άλλης δωρεάν στα μέλη μας, και θέλω να είναι 1000 για να μπορούν να υποφεληθούν τα 1000 άτομα που θα είναι τα original members μας στην ουσία πριν να κλειδώσει το group. Οπότε αν δεν θες να χάσεις το τεράστιο airdrop που θα κάνουμε στους 1000 πρώτους, να πας τώρα στο wolfpack.gr ή στο κρυπτοχαρτοφυλακιό μου και να το περιμένεις. Τον Ιανουάριο θα λανσαριστεί το coin μας, οπότε ούτε 2 μήνες δεν μείνανε. Έχοντας πει αυτό, φύγαμε κατευθείαν να δούμε τη συνέντευξη που έκανα με τον CEO της Brick Trade, Giaouzos. Giaouzos, everybody, the CEO and founder of Brick Trade. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for your time. How are you?
Yeah, very good, Kostan. Nice. Thank you for having me here.
I wanna cut right to the chase. I want our community to get to know you. So you wanna just start by saying your background? How did you end up in this real estate field to begin with?
Yeah, I'd love to. So my name is Giaouzos, as Costa just mentioned. I'm the founder of Brick Trade. So my background, for the last 20 years, I've been involved in the premier property market in London. I also own an estate agency, a real estate company based in Canary Wharf for the last 15 years. We've also got an office in Hong Kong, which we opened in 2013. So vast experience of the property sector. I've developed properties, I've bought investment properties, and also sold and rent them as we do in our business. We've noticed over my experience how hard it is for people to get into property. Just knowing what the process is for some people is very, very daunting. And for that reason, the Brick Trade has come about from an evolution of all of my experience since that time. I've always been interested in technology and how it progresses us as humans, and also how it progresses certain sectors. The property market, I'm sure you know, has been very slow, and it is very slow in order to get into and also out of. If you want to get out of the property, it can take you months to sell a property. You have to find a buyer and what have you. Now, we're trying to with Brick Trade, we are streamlining that. but also building in our experience of being, 20 years deep in property. So, it's very interesting for us. I've always wanted to do something that I've loved, and luckily I fell into an industry, property, which I really like. So, we've done okay so far, and we're hoping to, share our experience and our technology with everyone.
All right, that's fair enough. That's amazing. So, do you want to share with us how this brick trade, tokenization of real estate started? Was it always like this, or brick trade started as something else?
So I want to just go a step back before we get into brick trade and how it works or what have you. I want to just explore a couple of the problems and why it's actually needed. So firstly, as we know, there's a global housing shortage. Developers, even if they've got planning for a site, a property developer will have great difficulty getting finance from the banks, because banks, the way they see a developer is, too much risk, there's so much going on. They'll only really give it to a very well-traded developer. Now, also another problem is that how much money are we getting in our banks for our savings? I'm not sure where you're sitting, but in England at the moment it's 0.01%. So,
yeah, that's pretty much everywhere, right? It's so low.
Exactly. And to be honest, what the banks do, they take your savings and they actually give it out the back door at 15%. So they're making money off your money, which we don't think is fair. So what we've done in order to mitigate that is we've made a marketplace where developers can come in and publish their sites. We will then, before it goes live, me and my team, we will work out, is this a good site for a start? Firstly, has it got planning, all the legal paperwork behind it, and does the development work? Is it a 700 grand flat that you're trying to build, where the most expensive flat in that area is 500,000?
So
things like that.
You're trying to make sure that the quality is there, right? And it is actually worth the money, right?
There has to be quality products. There's a very strict criteria that they have to meet, because if it's not, then if it's not good enough for us, if I couldn't put my own money in, then it's not good enough for our clients. It's as simple as that.
That's great.
It's just the same as what we've been doing in my property company for the last 15 years. We look after people's assets. They give them to us in order for us to manage, sell them, and we treat them like our own properties. We've got our own portfolio, so it's how it works. So if once they meet all of those criteria, they will then be published on our marketplace. And then once our investors have registered on our site, given us their KYC, they will then be allowed to view those potential investments. And there'll be different types of investments. There'll be small developments, 5 to 10 flats being built, and up to 20, 30, 40, 50 flats. We've got a development that's ready to go now with 177 units. So, they will have a very good range of very good quality products, which by the time they see it, there'll be so much experience already edged against it. And also they'll have access to all the legal documents in our site as well, which is very important for us.
So, okay, that's amazing actually, because, so you cover everything, right? Like you have thought of everything, every single piece, right?
Well, the thing is, this has been happening in the traditional world for a long time. Let's say, for example, Costa, me, you, I don't know if you've got a partner, but let's say all four of us, we decided to buy a piece of land, we all put our money in, and we then started developing it, yes? Let's say in 6 months' time, I wanted to get out of that investment. Yep. For argument's sake, let's say it was 100,000 and I needed my £25,000 back, right? In the traditional world, what you'd have to do is go out into the market, find someone who wants to invest 25,000 for the period of how long that's going to take, and then basically find that investor and plug them in for that period of time. It's quite a hard sell to find that person. Now, in our ecosystem, if there was someone that had invested into a development site, let's say for 12 months and it was an 8% return, and 6 months down the line, they wanted to come out, literally they would just be able to put their investment back on the marketplace to say, look guys, and that will be our, let's say, secondary market. I've had this investment, I've had my 8% for 6 months, I need my money back. But that gives them access to all of our users. Those users are there for them types of investments, and hopefully someone will come in and pick them up. Failing that, we are talking to Archax at the moment, a security exchange, which which we're hoping to do a deal with, which then we could list the coins in there as well.
All right, that makes life so much easier if you actually partner with them, right? If you actually make a deal.
Yeah, right? There are extra costs involved in that route, but we like the fact that we've got a free option for our users in order for them to publish their investments if they did need to come out.
All right. Do you think that will actually happen, the secondary market? So.
To be honest, it will be there, but we hope they don't need that, but it's an option for them. It's an option for them. So just to give you an idea, so I want to give you a picture of our products, right? Yep. So as we mentioned earlier, BrickTrade is a tokenization platform. We tokenize assets in order to fractionalize them. Right. So someone is able, rather than to buy the whole investment, they're able to buy a portion of it. Yep. But the important thing with BrickTrade is that it's asset backed, right? So I'm sure you know this.
Lower risk, right?
Exactly. It's a lower risk, and it's asset backed. So let's say we put £100,000 into Uber, right? Mm-hmm. And next week, the government around the world says you can't use electric cars anymore, right? The fact is that 100 grand could be lost. There's no asset, a real world asset that's backing that investment, right? Now, if we were to say that we put £100,000 into BrickTrade and we then went and invested it into a development site, that money is then backed by that asset. A portion of that site is owned by that principal of money. So it's very low risk and it's backed. Even our money isn't backed. In I think it's 1979, once the gold standard got taken off of money, the money in our bank is worth, it's not backed by anything, right? So I think a lot of people on the road don't even realize this.
Well, it is backed. It is backed by faith, right? It is.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. And I think in the crypto world, I know there's a lot of speculative, up gains that people have had, but also I think asset-backed investments are required in that sector. And this is all we know. So we couldn't do anything else, but this model has been working in the traditional world for a long, long time. What we're doing is being able to streamline it, make it easier for entry, make it easier for exit.
So basically, you are solving like a real problem, right? A real problem. You are here for the long term, I suppose, right? This is what I get from you, right? This is for the long term. This is not like a speculative thing. Like you are really doing something. You are fighting a fight worth fighting for, right?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, the business that I've been in is only long term. Property is only long term, and no, this is not speculative. And
I say this because we are in the crypto space, as you said, and many people view the crypto space as very speculative. But here we are talking about something like you are building something for a long-term success, right?
Yeah. So our tokens will work as fixed-term bonds. Fixed return for a set period of time. So let me explain. As an investor, how it would work. So there's going to be a few products that we introduce to the market, but the first one is, and we find this to the lowest risk in the property sector. So it's a property developer with planning, and he comes to us and he says he needs let's say he needs £1 million to build his 10 flats. Yes. So we already know he owns it. We already know the government has given him permission to build what he wants to build. We then do our due diligence and make sure it's right. And then we then go and raise through the crowd £1 million to give him. Now, he doesn't get the £1 million straight away. He will get it in sections. So every time, exactly the same as the bank, there's certain targets that he's got to meet. We will then go and do a review. There'll be live video cameras that you'll be able to access as an investor. So you will actually literally see the building grow. And every tranche that they get, we will do another valuation on the site. Now, if you had invested into that site, believe it or not, your principal actually gets lower risk as it goes on, because the value of the site gains as it builds. Yeah. So your principal that you've invested the risk becomes lower as you go along. And then he pays your interest. If he fails, we then, the same as the bank, would take the asset. So your principal is still secure, right? So our first product is construction finance. That's what I just explained there. Now, because we're working with the developer and because of my background in estate agency, we will also help that owner sell the end units. So he's building 10 flats. We already know what they're going to be worth. We know how long it's going to take for him to build. We will then put those units on our marketplace for our investors to fractionally own. Right? So that could be 5 people, 10 people, 1,000 people, 100,000 people from across the world. So you could be sitting in Mauritius, you could see a site in London that we're building, that we've got funded through our crowd, and you say, you know what, I want a portion of a flat in London, right? So you stake your coins. So let's say 18 months have passed and those units have now finished. And I'll give you the example of one unit itself. And let's say there's 100,000 people in that one unit. Because that unit is owned outright, there's no mortgage on it, there's no finance. As soon as it's rented, it creates a yield.
Yep.
Now that yield is special, right? So I know there's DeFi yields and staking pools and what have you, but having a yield from an asset initially in London, but we're going to be working in Europe and other parts of the world, but having a yield that you fractionally own in London from a unit being rented is so secure. It's just long-term wealth, right? It's wealth. That's what leads to wealth. And at the same time, what we'll have is once a year, we'll have a vote. So all those 100,000 people will vote to either keep the unit or sell the unit. So this is product number 2. So they get to own and fractionalize the investment and earn the yield of it.
Is this like a DAO? Is it gonna be like a DAO?
It's similar. It's similar.
Right.
It's similar to that sense in the DeFi world, but it's a real world asset.
That's great. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably gonna be like the new hip cool way to invest into real estate for like young people or people that wanna invest in real estate, but not in the traditional way, right? Because it's so much harder, right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It will be for the young people that are these days. That it's very difficult. It's very difficult to get into property, right? As we know, especially in London. If you haven't
especially in London, especially.
Yeah, if you haven't got 200 grand, 250 grand, you can't even start. And this is one of the reasons why we started. So, and this is another gem on what initiated brick trade, right? So I was sitting there with my sons one day and I thought, if I wasn't in property and you guys were just starting off on your own and you've done well at school, went to the right universities, and I see these kids all the time in Canary Wharf, right? And you've got to, your 100 grand, 150 grand job, which is good in Canary Wharf, you're doing well, and now you need to buy a property. right? What do you need? And my little example is little Johnny, right? So he's done the right thing, gone to the right university, worked hard, saved his money, got to his good job. But in order to buy a property in Canary Wharf, you're looking at 700 grand just to start. So how long is it going to take Johnny to save that in order to get onto the property ladder? Probably when he's about to retire, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because he's got to live, he can't save all his money. But what about how does he make his money work while he's saving? You know, it's very difficult for young individuals these days to get into the property market. You know, it will take them so long in order to firstly buy their own property to live in, and secondly even think about property investment. You know,
True.
and a lot of that, what I've seen from my experience, is from international investment as well. You know, what that does, it skews economies like property industries because they're working on their own currencies, right? So if there's a currency fluctuation, they can then buy in another country, and you know they're getting a discount basically on the fluctuation of the currency. So that also skews the values for people that live in that actual demographic. So that's another thing that we're sort of fighting against. And look, we mentioned, you know, it's for the younger generation, but it's also for the older generation. I've got clients that have been property investors for 15, 20 years, maybe longer, and they're actually coming out the market because it's actually slightly high risk now, because if they are holding on to that one asset, let's say they're holding on to one house and they've got a tenant that's not paying the rent, it could take them up to a year of legal work and what have you to get them out. And they could actually potentially, the bank could actually say, well, you're not paying the mortgage for this long, we're taking the asset off you. Which,
especially in the UK, that's true, right?
Especially in the UK. So this is where we are, and this is where our expertise is for the moment. But what we can do with brick trade is you know, adapt it to every demographic, you know, firstly in Europe, and then, you know, where we decide to go next, by the fact that buying and selling property should be, you know, more consistent. And we can do that with making all the legal paperwork in the background before the properties are published. So, you know,
that sounds amazing. And what are the requirements for somebody to actually be able to invest in the property on brick trade?
So the process is quite simple. We require them to do KYC checks. So that would be, you know, your AML and KYC, that has to be registered. You need to register that before we even give you access to any of the marketplace or any of the investments. This is because we like to keep our regulation. You know, although we're not regulated yet, we're speaking with the FCA, and we are going to be regulated by them for crowdfunding license. Because, you know, like we said earlier, we're here for the long term. We want to build this very secure. We want to make sure our investors' principal and their money is secure, first of all, by delivering them quality products. And also we want to make sure that we as a company are very regulatory. So
you are planning for the future, right?
Of course. Before we launch, we will have FCA approval. And then that's how we're going to come into the market.
This is great, and this actually sounds huge, to be honest. I mean, it really does sound huge. What are the potential hurdles, like bad stuff that can happen?
To be honest, we've thought very long and hard about this, and like I said, the actual concept, the business model has been going on for many, many years in the traditional world. What we're doing and what is unique about us is, you know, we've not only got the experience of property. Now, a lot of our competitors, they're either finance guys or tech guys. And there are a few companies based in London and based in England, that do crowdfunding for these types of projects. Now, the appetite for them, they raise about £500,000 within 2 minutes. And that's because the appetite for the investors, you know, they need somewhere to put their money. So, you know, they see it as a low risk investment. And that's why they can raise the funds so quickly. And also they have access to all the information. So we know the appetite is out there. The failings could be the developer could mess up. But
in that case, you actually get the property, right? So
yeah. So, you know, to be honest, the worst thing that can happen, you double your money, because if he fails, we take the asset, and we then build it out. So that's really the worst thing that can happen. Other than that, you know, we just want to deliver quality products, which we've got probably about 18 million pounds worth of development sites currently ready to go. And, you know, we've got a very, very good team. Like, we've got quantity surveyors on our team. We've got the MD of a massive housing association who is, they used to manage 2,000 units. He's going to be coming on board. We've got a very, very well-known gentleman called Vinay Gupta. He's a strategic consultant. He's already done tokenization, actually, with William Shatner's, you know, William Shatner from Star Trek?
Yeah.
He's tokenized their whole, not their merchandise, their memorabilia.
Right. With his,
so
like,
he's working with them.
With his branding, so his, like, he put his name, right, on his memorabilia, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's worth something.
Yeah, so I think between us, we've got about 120 years worth of experience. And that's all going to be brought into the experience that we share with our investors.
That sounds brilliant, actually. So you want to tell us, you want to talk to us about your, like, the actual roadmap, like the stuff you are doing now. You are raising money, right? So what's the roadmap?
So currently we're in an incubator with launch pools, and we've just done our pre-seed. We're in the middle of our seed round funding.
How did that go?
Oversubscribed by about 400%, I think. But it was great. It was great, and it was really nice to see the response. We're building our community, and you know that is every time we reach out, you know, and we share our concept and what we want to do. I'm glad to say that we're getting a very, very good response. We've been in the market since 2019. And we've been on roadshows and conferences and speaking to people. And we nearly got funded just before COVID, believe it or not, literally 2 months before. But the business that was going to fund us, they got affected by COVID and they pulled it. So, you know, we was on pause for about a year. But, you know, just to give you an insight, and I don't think I mentioned this yet, but when Brick Trade, the concept came out, because we knew that, well, because I knew the concept works, and I know it, you know, we can deliver this to our clients. I actually put my own money in. So the platform, the 2 apps that we built are all funded by me.
That's great.
Up until our seed round, no one had invested into it. Our platform's 80% finished. Our apps are made. One's live on Android now. The other one, Apple, I think goes on in December. So, you know, we're very confident in what we can deliver. We know we can deliver it. It's what makes us unique is the fact that we'll accept crypto. Now, that is, no one in England is doing that at the moment. I think there are some guys in Europe doing it. But the way we're going to deliver it in our products, as in the construction finance, the end product, and then the third product, what we're going to be launching later on down the line, is having a staking pool. So that's
maybe the most interesting. Maybe it's up there.
Well, what the staking pool will do is we will then go out and buy built assets. So what I mean by built assets is assets that are already generating income. So let's say, for example, there's a block of flats, block of 20 flats, or an easier example, an office building, right? It's rented to Facebook. It's £10 million, and it's giving an X amount of income. We, as the staking pool, we will go and buy that building, and we will manage it for the pool, and that will obviously go up in value. The rent would give them a yield, and that would be the basis of our staking.
This is very exciting because all of this stuff is like backed by actual like real estate, like buildings and stuff, right? This is amazing.
Absolutely, but I'd say the most important thing is that we're lowering the barrier to entry. You know, a gentleman on the street. You know, we'll go back to Johnny, the example, right? Mm-hmm. Now he, with brick trade, has now got access to buy a portion of an office building in London. How would he ever have that opportunity in life? He wouldn't have that. It would only be for the banks. So this
and the thing is, like, if you have, let's say, like $100,000, right? You can actually mitigate your risk by investing like 10, 20 different real estate properties, right? So this
Absolutely.
is maybe one of the most important stuff as well.
Absolutely.
It's very important.
It's the low risk part of your portfolio. And the fact that it's asset backed as well, I don't think there's anything else better in the market. You know, and also the fact is that if you're one of the owners, so a fractional owner, when that site ever gets sold, so that unit, so going back to product 2, where you've bought the exit, so you've bought the end product that the developer's building. If that ever gets sold, the increase in value of that is going to get shared between those 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are you getting the yield, you're also getting appreciation on the value of that property.
That's the magic of real estate, right?
That's the magic. That's the magic. And that's what we're going to be delivering.
Good stuff. Very, very, very good stuff. Okay, so let's get a little bit practical now. So what is exactly, like after the KYC, right? What is exactly the process of actually investing in property? So like, what do you do?
Once your KYC is complete, you'd then be given access to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. What I would like to do actually is maybe speak to you again at some point, maybe in December, and actually give you a walkthrough of our platform and our app. I'd really like to do that because
that'll be amazing.
It would make everything fit into place, if I'm honest. But you'd get access to the platform and the marketplace. You'd then be able to choose which investment that you would like to see. You'd go into that investment and you'd get access to all the legal documentation. Now, this legal documentation is down to the planning application, the ownership of the site. So the site will be held in an SVP, a limited company, and we would have a charge on that company. So that company would not be able to be sold unless we were paid out first. So that's another layer of security for the investors. We would also get a personal guarantee from the owner. And also, once all that paperwork has been collated from the developer, we send them to the lawyers. The lawyers then rubber stamp them to say, yes, this is a true copy and this is right. So what we're saying is, we know what we're doing. You can trust us, but you can trust these city lawyers that have got millions and millions of pounds of insurance behind them, and they're saying it's real as well. So
you're basically doing all the hard work, right? You are doing all of the due diligence, everything, and everything, and you can see everything as an investor before you even invest, right? So that's great.
So we're investors, right? So if I was going to invest, I've built it. So if I was going to invest, what information do I would really want to see? Because, you know, the amount of community that we're going to have, we can't genuinely say that we'll be on the phone or a Zoom call with individual investors. Now, we're talking about maybe having live webinars and introductions and maybe having a few, you know, community members to introduce the sites. But genuinely, we're asking someone to have a look at our site, have a look at our background, then do the KYC, having a look at an investment, and then pulling money out of your pocket and investing into that. So, you know, you need to be armed with information. So that will all be there. You then will connect your wallet to the site.
What kind of wallet? What kind of wallet?
So we're gonna have third-party integration wallet. We're just deciding that yet. There's out of 1 or 2, maybe MetaMask. Or another one.
MetaMask. Okay, so it's gonna be okay, good.
Yeah.
A custodial, a non-custodial wallet, right?
Yeah. So you'll be able to invest through crypto or fiat.
Right. Oh, or fiat. Okay, so it's fiat as well. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that's why we're saying it's for traditional investors and for people with crypto or the younger generation. And we are going to be the first in England to be able to accept both.
All right. Okay. So, and what kind of crypto can we use? Like anything? I mean, like what are you going to accept?
I think that they're probably going to be the top popular ones to start with.
Right.
And then we'll add more and more as we go on.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Actually,
so,
great.
So once you've decided on your investment, you then decide on how much you want to invest. That then comes through to us, and then we then issue coins.
All right.
Yeah.
So
you can decide.
And what about your own?
What about
your own token?
Our own token? Yep.
Yeah.
So
what about it? How is it gonna fit into the ecosystem?
So our brick trade token itself, it will be. I've got to get this right now because this is where the technical stuff comes in. At the moment, it will be inflammatory, but it will become deflammatory.
Okay.
Is that
deflationary?
Right?
Deflationary. Right?
That's it.
Right. Okay. Good. Good.
But we're working on bringing it to become deflationary.
All right. So, is it gonna have any like what kind of utility will have into how it will fit into the whole ecosystem? Like what? Why should we own it? Like.
Yeah. So this is a very good question actually. Sorry, I'm just going to take some water. These initial members and community members that help us build what we're building. I've shared quite a lot about what the ability and possibilities are for brick trade, but the people that join us right at the start, they're actually fueling this to become what it needs to be.
Yes.
So for that reason, by holding brick trade coins, you'll have free membership. So we're going to have different membership models to become brick trade investors. So they will have free membership. They'll also be able to have income from the projects, obviously, but they'll be able to get slightly more because they're holding the tokens.
All right.
So
are we talking a lot more? Have you figured that out yet?
Not yet, because it's down to some fine tuning of financials. Because we have to make sure if we offer too much, we then make no money and then we don't get anywhere. But there will be a benefit.
Right.
They will also get early access to projects. Now, this is very important. Now, we've seen companies in this sector sort of be sucked up by institutions. Because remember, pension funds, they need secure places to put people's money, right? And they only want 4% return. So what happens is, there could be a company, and they've spoken to us as well. They've said, look, if you can make these products, we'll take all of them forever. You don't need to go to the crowd. And we said, we don't want to do that. We're building this for the crowd. And we want to enable them to be able to invest into property and what we can give them. So it's important for us to not get sucked in by them, but also the token holders will get early access before even our members on the site get access. So there could be really interesting sites or developments, investments that we put on. They'll get early access to that.
That's very valuable. If you ask me, that's very valuable. Yeah. Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I like it.
Another interesting thing is as well, and this is the community, the token holders will get this access to this first. Now, I just want to explain something, right? So just going back to the developer, he's building the site, he's got 10 units, we're talking to him from day one. For each site, we're going to ask the developer to let us raffle off one of the properties. So let me just explain what I mentioned there. So
what do you mean raffle off?
Yes, this is what. Yeah, I'm going to see the reaction in your eyes after I've explained this.
Sounds intriguing. Okay, so let's see. So what is it?
Let's say one of the units, so unit number 7. Remember, he's got 2 years to build this, right? or 18 months, let's say. So we've got 18 months to raise enough money to be able to give that flat away, right?
Away to who? To the token holders?
To one person.
To one person?
To one person.
Like
so,
giveaway?
Yes. Yes. We're going to be known for this. Costa, we're going to be known for this. For accepting crypto for property and giving properties away. That's what we're going to be known for. So
that sounds very good for marketing purposes also, huh?
It's marketing gold, right?
Nice.
So we take the unit, we value it, and we put it on our marketplace as a raffle. So you buy your raffles, £10. What I don't know, it'd be fiat and crypto, obviously. Okay. So once it gets fully submitted, then we get a randomizer, and that property actually will be given to someone. Given. Now, it doesn't matter how much we sell it for or how much we raise, because it's going to be given away, right? And that.
So it is like for sure gonna be given away, right? Like no matter
yes.
how much it raises with the raffles and stuff, right?
So we've got an insurance, which let's say it's £100,000 and we raise 90. Right. We've got an insurance that we can pull on, and they'll give us the 10 grand, right? Okay. But we want to give it away because for marketing, like you said, it's marketing gold for us.
It's invaluable.
We want to do that in every single development that we do.
In every single one?
Yes.
Is this gonna be even possible? Sounds very ambitious, isn't it?
It's easy. It's easy because we're going to be working with the developer from day one. Look, at the end of the day, he just wants to sell his units, right?
Right.
So what we're doing is selling his units, right? But for one of them, we're asking him to say, look, do you mind if we raffle this away? You're still going to get your money, developer, but you're not going to get it yet. You're going to get it right at the end, which in fact is the same. I'm giving my secret sauce away now, which is the same as a normal sell. He's still getting his money right at the end, right?
All right. Okay. From his point of view, right? From his
it doesn't make a difference.
It's the same. It doesn't matter.
It's just an idea that we came up with, and it ticks a lot of boxes. And it's going to make someone very, very happy. Imagine being given a £500,000 flat because you entered a raffle and you earned some brick trade tokens. Not bad. Okay. It sounds very innovative as well, right? I was just going to say, just while we're on that topic of being innovative, a couple of other spin-offs that we've thought about, which we're going to deploy into brick trade ecosystem will be. So let me just give you the first example. Let's say we're working with a developer. He's got 15 houses and he's building them, and we raise the finance for him to build those houses, right? Now, firstly, if those houses weren't being built by brick and concrete, the banks wouldn't touch them, right? So there are different construction methods which are more sustainable and green energy friendly, right. Which if they went to the bank, they wouldn't get funded. If they came to us, we could look at it and we could fund it. Secondly, for energy, let's say, now a boiler, the boiler that they're about £1,000, maybe 1,500 to install. There's other things called ground source heat pumps. They're about £5,000, right? Okay. So what these are, they're a big coil that goes into a ground, right? And what that does, it will heat your water and provide you hot water and heating. But it's £5,000 rather than £1,000, right? Okay. Now what we can do is give the developer that extra £4,000 for each house. And now brick trade becomes brick trade energy. Now we...
Whoa. What? Okay.
So basically...
Wait. One question. Yes. Is this in the roadmap or this is just
It's mentioned in the roadmap. I'm going to send you an image of our roadmap and what we're doing now up until the end of next year. It's slightly mentioned, but it's a reality. What I've just mentioned is very easy for us, but I want to go 2 steps more than that.
Have you tried it though? Have you tried it, or has anybody else tried to do this exact thing?
This
right?
technology is it's not common, but it's maybe 10-year-old now, and it works. The fact of it is, it makes, so like I said, I want to go 2 steps further than that to say, look, that will produce its own heat, right? We can then put in solar, and then we can put in rainwater harvesting. What rainwater harvesting is, it takes the rainwater, it filters it, and then it will give your showers and toilets and washing machines free water, right? That then makes those 10 houses that he's building near enough self-sufficient. You don't need to be on the grid. So then that's brick trade energy. But then one step going forward, and this might be from the staking pools, we might end up building the houses ourselves, which means brick trade homes gets born, and we buy the site, we build the houses, we put the energy in, and then our community, you know, that may be 2 years down the line, but you know, by that time our community members are going to feel like property investors. They're going to feel like property developers, and that's what we want to enable them with.
Yeah, especially if you do it like a DAO, where they can actually like vote on stuff like that, right? So
absolutely, they can vote on spec. They can vote on many things, like, you know, they can. So there will be voting around selling assets, you know, holding on to them, collecting a yield, things like that, and that will be for our core community, I would say.
Right. So do you think token holders will be benefited by this as well, like more so than normal users?
Because our token holders will be our premium clients, because, you know, they're vested in our journey, they're vested in what we're doing.
Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess you talk to us about like basically your mission. Even more so, you mentioned even like future plans. This is amazing. This is such a good opportunity, I think, especially to invest right now. I mean, like before and everybody else, huh? It's great.
Yeah, well, where we've been, it's been a bit of a staggered approach. We thought we'd be launched by now, but 2019, you know, we paused for a year in the COVID period, but luckily we'd already developed our platform, so we're really ready to launch. We're looking to do it around end of Q1, Q2 next year. When
that's understandable because of the whole COVID situation. Okay, that's understandable.
Exactly. But the fact is, it was lucky that we built our platform, and that year gave us time to tweak our models. You know, came up with different ideas such as the raffle and the energy side of things.
So in a way, it kind of helped you, right? To build it, to refine everything, maybe, and just.
But what we found also, because of the pandemic, it made people realize also that we have to make our money grow.
Oh yeah, that's
right? And for us, that's what we saw in that period, was people were actually after our product even more.
Yeah.
The appetite of the market actually grew for us, whereas, you know, different businesses, maybe sectors, actually decreased in interest. We actually were more assured that, you know, when we launch, it's going to be good.
Yeah. So yeah, even better. So it sounds like the timing is actually right, huh? It's great.
Exactly. Yeah,
good stuff. Now even normal people think like they actually believe like investing is a good thing, even normal people. So yeah, that creates much more people to like for customers. So that's great.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Do you wanna like say something else? Because I really think we covered everything and even more. Like, you've been amazing. You told us a little bit of your little your secret sauce. You talked to us about some very more exciting stuff. I don't know. Do you have something else like even more exciting? Do you have something up your sleeve or something?
No, I think I've given you a little bit of everything, really.
Yes.
And, as things progress and we get closer to coming to market, I'd love to come back and share some of the other things with you.
This is amazing, and also people should really look into your other company, Waterfront, right? Like we have already informed our group that like your history and stuff. They already knew about it, but I just want to get it out of you, like so you'd say it, right? And this is great because trust is obviously like the most important thing, right? Like to be trustworthy in this business is.
Well, like I said, I mentioned it earlier, we've been managing people's assets for the last 15, 20 years. So, believe it or not, I've still got my first client that I took on 15 years ago. So,
that's the magic of real estate, right? Because it's a very sticky kind of business, right? It's like
it's very dependent on trust and relationships.
Yes.
And we look after their assets as our own. And we've got clients all over the world, in Hong Kong, in the Far East, all over the world, and a lot of our clients trust us from, just knowing that we're going to do a good job.
And that credibility really helps brick trade right now, right? That credibility really helps brick trade.
Yeah, well, you can't just pluck trust and credibility out the ground and say, look, this is what I want to do. But if I'm honest, Costa, if I hadn't been doing what I've been doing for the last 15 years, there's no way I would be as confident I am about brick trade working. So, and I know that we'll be delivering, great projects and giving access to people that they would never get access to, as in, how would a person on the street get access to to give the construction finance to the development down the road? There's no way that would ever meet, and that's what we're enabling them. So
that's amazing.
We're basically cutting the bank out. That's purely.
That's great. This, like, I think we all see the opportunity and the gap in the market. Last thing, I want you to tell me two things. First of all, okay, now you're in the UK. Obviously, you have plans to go abroad, right? Europe, maybe USA, maybe not. I don't know.
All down to regulation, really. USA. Obviously, London and New York are very, very similar markets. I don't know what the development landscape is over there, but we want to.
We will stick in to Europe, right?
Europe is, I'd say, after UK. Yes. One, it's close to home, and secondly, the landscapes are similar. Let's say.
Any countries in specific in mind? Do you have any countries in specific?
So we've spoken to.
Come on, Mykonos is great. Mykonos is great, huh? Why not?
Mykonos is lovely. It's lovely. But yeah, there are a few developers that work in Europe that we've been speaking to. But what we want to do is make sure that what we're doing for the launch and how we deliver the first 10, 15 projects are really, really important. We're gonna build in a lot of buffer for them, because they have to go right, and I'm sure they will. But we just got to make sure and concentrate they do, and then our efforts would, once we've got enough fuel in our tank as well, we can employ more of a team, and we can then start deploying our other initiatives.
Great. One step at a time, right? Great.
Absolutely.
Gav, thank you so much for being here. You've been very informative. Thank you so much. I think we said we talked about everything, right? So next time you will actually show us like how it's actually being done. Okay?
No worries. I'd love to give you a walkthrough.
You will give us a walkthrough. It will be amazing. Thank you so much for being here. As always, all the links will be in the description. You can check Brick Trade out. You can invest in it. It's a great project. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Costa. Thank you.